Welcome back, Multi-Battle Conference. We're here with another interview, this time with the St. Louis Bulus, another one of our new teams. Of course, not new to draft leagues, that is. Um, we have IzzyMax and Ryan here on the line. Go ahead and say hi, guys.
Yo, what's good, people? IzzyMax here.
I'm Ryan. Hi.
And that
I
is
hate him.
Ryan. All right, so we are here to talk about your draft with you guys today. We're just gonna run through the Pokemon you guys picked real quick. So number one, your first pick was the regular non-G-Max Blastoise. Number two, your first S tier pick, the non-G-Max Rillaboom, followed by the Togetic, Heatran, Reuniclus, Obstagoon, Manectric, Zygarde 10% form, and finishing off the draft with a couple of D tiers in Ghastly and Machoke. So go ahead and tell us about this team, guys.
Ryan, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited about this team. We did post a draft breakdown video a little while ago, which some people in the league I know have watched, but that's on Maxwell's IzzyMax channel. In general, our thoughts are we're pretty happy with the team, especially like the top half, I'd say. Um, we've got a lot of really good offensive threats. We got double redirection. All of the Mons kind of fill niches that we wanted to. We're really happy overall with kind of how things laid out. And we think that this team will be pretty effective actually throughout the season.
Yeah, so this team is very much derived of other things in the league that I run, the Max Doubles League. And we definitely went for picking Mons that either performed well or performed well together. And other than that, just multi-dimensional Mons are kind of our strong point. So that's kind of what we shot for and ultimately what we got.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. We will move into our grades then. You want to start us off with how they did on the drafting process?
Yeah, so for drafting, we gave you guys a B plus. Actually, it's like been one of the higher grades that we give out for drafting. I think there's only been one A minus. Have we given an A?
I don't think so. We're pretty harsh on we're harsh on all of them kind
Yeah.
of, but that this one in particular.
Yeah. Mainly because at the top of the draft, I mean, it's just incredible. Blastoise first round pick there. I think that was a really solid pick just overall. It does so many different things, as Matt and I both know. It can be supportive, it can be offensive. Honestly, just I think just a really good way to start the backbone of your team. Then you went and grabbed a grass type Rillaboom. No idea how this felt to you guys. You know, second round coming back. But
Yeah,
kudos for
us
you
either.
guys. Yeah, kudos to you guys for grabbing it. Rillaboom, absolutely fantastic. So this next pick I think is probably my favorite for a couple of reasons. I love it when you have a fire, water, grass core in mind, and you realize that there's another role that you need to get, whether that be a really good trick room user, a really good tailwind user, in this case a really good redirector, because there's such a premium on these types of roles that you went, let's hold off a little bit on the fire type. Look, Heatran is going to be great for this fire, water, grass core. It would absolutely be awesome, but we cannot miss on this Togetic here. So go into the third, pick it up, pray that Heatran comes back to you, or maybe another really good fire type comes back to you, and then finish off the core there. Those top four, I think, it's very clear that you guys have drafted before. It's very clear that you guys know, the transfer moves and stuff, because a lot of people, I think, when we put Blastoise in the league last season, people were surprised to see Follow Me on it. And now they're like, oh, okay, that's why it's an A tier. All right, yeah, that totally makes sense now. Kind of like
Right.
Raichu, Doesn't Click, who has won the league twice before. They were using Follow Me Raichu, and it's been like a staple on their team for a long time. And most people, when they first join the league, they're like, Raichu gets Follow Me? Oh, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
So
Right.
kudos to you guys.
We were really, really excited about transfer moves, actually,
Yeah.
because we've never used them before. So we actually did like a deep dive into transfer moves for a ton of top picks
Yeah, it
to
really
figure out what was
shows.
available.
Heatran getting Eruption, I think, is also really good. Because that comes from an event, I believe.
Yep.
And then, I think just in general, these top four picks are fantastic. And then you can see that you guys are vets because you immediately went in the fifth round and grabbed a Trick Room mode or a Trick Room counter with the Reuniclus. the reason why I say that is because most of these other teams continue to try to fill out the rest of their draft, and the trick room mode seemed like an afterthought to a lot of teams. And very clearly, you guys saw, all right, 5th round, let's grab that trick room mode and user, so that way we can just get that out of the way. You guys grabbed, in my opinion, one of the higher value B tiers in Reuniclus because it does both. Um, and then you went and grabbed some more like, I don't want to say support, but like very versatile Pokemon that don't really do one thing very well, but are just all around, you know, all around jack of all trades type Pokemon. Obstagoon has a decent, support and offensive move pool. Manectric, fast Snarls, Lightning Rod. Still has a base 105 special attack stat, which I think, can be very serviceable, especially with the 105 speed, Zygarde, 115 speed, 100 attack. With 1,000 arrows, 100 base attack can be pretty underwhelming. This comes from somebody who ran Zygarde a lot in GS Cup. One of the calcs that we always laughed at was it takes a plus 2,000 arrows to have a chance to reliably one-shot Incineroar.
Yep.
So, and
We're
that's
aware.
adamant with a lot of attack, and it's like, you got a 93.8% chance to one-shot Incineroar. It's like, I'm at plus 2. What do you mean?
Yeah, no, it's kind of dumb like that. It's all right though. We're actually okay with the calc so far.
Yeah, yes. So 100 base attack seems good, but once you put it on the spread moves, it's like, oh, okay. But I think it still has good support. 115 with Glare, with Haze. It can do a lot of things. So I think that's kind of the main thing that I want to hit on from 6 through 10. They're Pokemon that don't excel in any one particular role, but they can do a lot of roles on a week-to-week basis. And depending on how you build them, they could be the perfect thing that you need that week, whether it be like something like Toxic that you throw on a Pokemon, or having the Lightning Rod on Manectric one week and maybe going static with it and trying to fish for paralysis. Just little things like that will honestly win you a lot of these games. One of the things that we saw that from was from the Sky Pillars last season. They had a lot of Pokemon that kind of did a couple of things okay, like Chandelure, like the Milotic. They weren't really like excelling in one particular area or the other, but they had the ability to change a couple of things. And I think that with these particular groups of Pokemon, you guys should be able to change them up pretty well. But overall, we gave you guys a B plus. We really like the top of the draft there. The middle, I think I would have liked to see a couple more defined role players, just kind of mixed in with that group that you have 6 through 10. I even if you guys are kind of going for like the jack of all trades thing, I think maybe seeing like a really good prankster Pokemon, a really slow trick room sweeper to go with Reuniclus, or even just something that can come out and put out offense right away, like a Darmanitan, either Galarian or Unova. Stuff like that. I think could have really maybe bumped up the grade a little bit, but honestly, overall, B plus. I think it's fantastic. The top of the draft is amazing. You have a lot of really good pieces here, and definitely has the workings of a really good playoff team. So I think B plus is more than fair.
Moving on to Synergy, this was probably the strongest point, definitely the strongest point of your draft. The highest grade we gave you was in Synergy. We gave you guys an A minus. Mostly this is because of the top of your draft, your top picks there. And when I say top picks, I'm including Togetic in that, just for future reference for the rest of this video.
Yeah.
Togetic is included in your top picks, not just because it's sandwiched between two of those S tiers, but because especially compared to your other B tiers, it is very high value. Mm-hmm. It's going to be an essential component of this fire, water, grass core, even though you don't typically need a fairy or flying type in there. Usually the extra type you add onto that core is like an electric type or something, but given the synergy here, it's very, very good. It's an essential part of this core. Yeah. This is one of our favorite fire, water, grass cores between the Blastoise, the Rillaboom, and the Heatran. They're going to work incredibly well together, especially with the Togetic, and I especially like the synergy that the Heatran has with this entire core here. It's you guys have you guys and the Wailords both have that grassy terrain setter with something with a 4x weakness. They just have the Bulu Nihiligo. I actually like this combination quite a bit better, especially because of the presence of that Togetic. I don't think the grassy terrain is going to come into play to help Heatran against earthquakes very much, mostly
No.
because now in Generation 8, of course, anything that gets ground coverage, well, almost anything that gets physical ground coverage is going to be using high horsepower or Stomping Tantrum rather than Earthquake. But there's still a select few Pokemon like Landorus, and I think maybe Garchomp gets Stomping Tantrum, but it might be using Earthquake still. But
The team it's on is because they have Zapdos Garchomp.
that's true, yeah. But the thing is, you can protect against earthquakes with your grassy terrain, but you also have a little thing called Togetic to redirect those single target ground attacks away from Heatran, whether that's that Stomping Tantrum or the high horsepower I mentioned, or something special like Earth Power or Scorching Sands, right? So I love the synergy with Heatran. Togetic also protects it from fighting type moves very, very well. And Heatran, if you're maxing it, which it seems like a very strong Dynamax candidate for this team, it's probably the one I expect to Dynamax the most often. If you're setting max flares for yourself, then the sun takes care of the water weakness as well. So this core on its own has many different ways to cover for all of Heatran's weaknesses. Not to mention the Follow Me Blastoise redirecting water attacks as well. So you've got all of its weaknesses covered, which is really, really nice in a draft league. I'm usually pretty hesitant to use high tier picks that have 4x weaknesses, especially one that's as prevalent as ground. But you guys have done a fantastic job of covering for all that stuff with this core up top. So kudos to you guys for that. We really, really love all of that synergy there. The Reuniclus and Obstagoon work pretty well together as well, typing wise. I think most of what we really love about this draft is type related synergy. There's also some combos like the Follow Me Togetic with the Shell Smash Blastoise, stuff like that. A couple other setup options as well that we'll mention. But a lot of it is about typing, and the Reuniclus and Obstagoon work pretty well together in that regard. The Reuniclus covering for fighting types for the Obstagoon covering for ghost types for the Reuniclus. And the only awkward thing is that because their speeds are quite a bit different, it might be hard for them to work together if they're sitting on the field at the same time. But if you put them on the same side, they can switch into each other very well. Mm-hmm. And then I also love the Manectric pick because just mainly because of the Lightning Rod. I know you guys have mentioned in the video that you guys recorded previously that both of your redirectors are weak to electric, and of course if you're using more of a Shell Smash variant on that Blastoise, then your setup mon and the redirector are weak to the same thing. So I can see Manectric doing a whole lot of good stuff to help out that pair. Whether you want to, Shell Smash Follow Me and then wait for the Togetic to die and get a free switch into Manectric, then you're just protected from electric types while you sweep, or whether you just want to switch the Manectric in right away, right off the bat while you Shell Smash if you feel safe enough doing that. And then I think a ground type, any draft can benefit from a strong ground type. Honestly, it's and the base 100 attack is a little iffy, but it's decent for B tier. The speed is really nice. It's the fastest thing on the team so far, or well at all. And I think the speed adds to what your opponents have to prep for as well. And I do like this weird little Disquake thing you have going on with the Discharge Manectric and the Thousand Arrow Zygarde, and of course knocking Flying and Levitate mons down is pretty cool as well. I think as far as synergy goes, your type synergy, a lot of it is really really great. The only thing that's really keeping you guys out of that A or A plus range is your fighting psychic dark core there is lacking a little bit, since the Machoke is picking up the slack on the fighting type front. And of course, like I mentioned, the speeds between Reuniclus and Obstagoon are a little bit awkward, so it's hard to see them working together on the field at the same time. But again, the defensive synergy is there. And then I would have liked to see maybe some more stuff to work well in Trick Room. The Machoke kind of can 45 base speed is decent for Trick Room, but again, it's it's a D tier pick for a reason. It's got 100 base attack. It's okay. It can do guts stuff. You can put an Eviolite on it if you want. So it might come out, but again, it is a D tier for a reason. So little bit lacking in the Trick Room department. So those are just kind of the things that are why we didn't grade you higher. But overall, synergy here is absolutely fantastic.
For threat level, we gave you a B plus, mainly because I guess I kept being brought back to these. 6 through 10 are kind of where it's really hurting you, as far as like not so much in just support, but just how much offense they're going to be able to put out on a week to week basis. But here's the thing: your top picks are just enough to really put it in. I could see. It's so easy to protect the Heatran from ground type attacks. In literally 2 moves, you pretty much you can protect it completely. You can go with a Follow Me Blastoise next to something like a Swords Dance Rillaboom in the beginning, and then if you don't like that, it's very easy for you to switch. You can hard switch into Togetic and flip turn into Heatran, and now all of a sudden you have Grassy Terrain up. That's going to protect you from the spread type ground moves that are going to come out. And you also have a flying type that can protect single Pokemon damage from the Togetic into the Heatran. And literally in 2 moves, you had a chance to either set up the Rillaboom to be at +2 with 3 direction and have good support, or now you have Grassy Terrain with Heatran, Togetic is now redirecting, and now you could just put down massive damage like that. And you literally have 2 completely separate modes that can put out 2 separate, completely things worth of damage, and almost be able to get them in for free with little to no setup. So stuff like that, I think, can really, really help you out. Things like Reuniclus, just base 30 with base 125 special attack. When it can, I believe it gets Calm Mind as well. When it can set up and Dynamax, and it gets stuff like Focus Blast, it gets some decent coverage. You can really get going a little bit and hit some of the things. Like, the reason why I mentioned Focus Blast is because you're obviously going to be a little bit afraid of Dark types. Dark types really don't get below base speed 30. So if you're in Trick Room and you can hit it really hard with a Max Knuckle or a Focus Blast to get rid of it, but before it moves in Trick Room, like, that just kind of helps the sweeping potential even more. It also has decent bulk as well. 110 base HP with 75-85 on the defenses. I think it's enough to do okay in Trick Room. So I think having those top 5, really, really make it to where it's very tough to you can very easily get swept in a lot of these situations if you're not prepping properly for those top 5 Pokemon. The main thing that kind of brings it down a little bit is I would have liked to see another Trick Room sweeper with this core. I like a lot of the Jack of all trades Pokemon. As I said, they have the ability to either go offensive or supportive. But I think just one in 6 through 10, to be a dedicated role player, a Slowbro, a Galarian Slowbro, a Copperaja, any of these things that were more defined. Darmanitan I mentioned. Sableye. Lipard, yes. Just things that kind of do one thing incredibly well. I think would have really rounded out this team and made it much more of a threat. But honestly, I kind of feel like I'm nitpicking a little bit here because, like I said, the top 5 are just so incredible, and then the 6 through 10. I mean, they're no slouches either, you know? Like, I don't want to make it seem like they're not going to be able to put out any offense. Like, no, these are Pokemon that absolutely can put damage down. It's just that I know that in the tier that they were picked from, there are other Pokemon that can do one of their jobs better than it being able to do both. So, just one of those things where it did drop down your threat level a little bit, but honestly, I still like a lot where this draft is going. I think B plus is really really good for considering how good the top of the draft is.
And versatility, we gave you guys a B. There is some significant versatility here. We do worry that some of these Pokemon might be a little bit one note, and some of the ones that do have that a little bit more versatility, especially the more mid tier picks, are maybe not going to be quite as strong when they're switching switching modes. The Blastoise here, I think it's pretty obviously the most versatile one on your team. It switches modes between being a supportive Follow Me Pokemon and a Shell Smash Sweeper, and it does both of those things very very well. The Rillaboom mostly is just going to be hit the field Grassy Glide, right? It has a little bit of support. It can be a Swords Dance Sweeper, but it's if you're taking the time to set up Swords Dance, you're wasting a grassy terrain turn. And you guys also don't have the G-Max form, which makes a Swords Dance followed by a Dynamax not quite as strong as you would want it to be. But those are minor hindrances to that kind of a set. So you can definitely still run it. It's absolutely still viable. Togetic and Heatran seem a little bit more one note. Togetic especially, it's mostly just a Follow Me bot. It does have a few other good support moves, especially like Tailwind and Helping Hand are ones that we're gonna expect to see pretty often. Heatran is mostly gonna just be a big special attacker, which isn't a huge problem. It's very good at that particular job. And there's a couple of other things that you could do with it, I suppose, but most of the time it's gonna be filling that one role. And then a lot of this stuff in the middle, especially the Zygarde, Manectric, and Obstagoon, all of these Pokemon seem a little bit underwhelming offensively, and still but that still seems to be kind of their main role. Even though all of them can switch to some form of support, like the Zygarde has stuff like Haze and Glare, and even gets Safeguard, I think. Manectric is decent with a little bit of speed control and damage mitigation. It can throw out Snarl and Eerie Impulse and Thunder Wave. Obstagoon can be decent support with stuff like Taunt and Snarl and Icy Wind. It can be a decent pivot with Parting Shot. It's quite a bit. It's more difficult to use it that way as a pivot in multi battle, since you can't switch between sides, but it does still work. So I think these Pokemon have versatility, but I think it's going to be hard to use them consistently. It's going to be hard to consistently switch modes with them, because they're not doing anything particularly well. Like Anthony touched on, none of these are really they don't have well-defined roles exactly, like something like a Sableye or Darmanitan. And then the only other thing that's a little bit lacking in your versatility is not so much the modes that individual Pokemon can use, but more your team's modes. We would have really liked to see a more fleshed out Trick Room mode. It's mostly just the Reuniclus. The Togetic does have After You, but that seems more like a tech to help against opposing Trick Room. And then there's the Machoke, which already kind of mentioned seems a little bit lackluster even in Trick Room. So you do have some significant versatility here, especially in that Blastoise. I do want to emphasize that the versatility on the Blastoise is something we love a lot from personal experience as well. So you do have some strong versatility, but it is lacking in some other areas. So we gave you a B there. and that averaged out to a B plus overall. Probably one of the better teams that we've seen. We really like a lot of this stuff on this team. So B plus, good job. You want to take the pros or the cons?
Yeah, I'll take the pros.
Okay.
This is easier. One of the best firewater grass scores right off the bat. I mean, I know we already talked about this, but I don't understand how you guys got Rillaboom and Heatran and then finish it.
We don't either.
Yeah.
We don't either. We were literally gobsmacked. We were like, how did we?
So, I mean, we talked about that with Team Pussy, too. That they had, they grabbed Celesteela first, and they were in the back of the draft, and they were like, well, Celesteela's there. I mean, I guess we got to get that. And then Cinderace, you're like, well, Cinderace is there, too. Like, I guess we got to get that, too. Like, they left it on the board.
Yeah.
You know, yours obviously works out a lot better, the synergy.
Yeah.
But I love this Firewater Grass score. We're very partial to Blastoise, specifically support Blastoise. If we had a chance to nominate like an MVP for our team, it would have been Blastoise hands down. I mean, it was so good for us just on a week-to-week basis. It enabled so many of our key Pokemon to do things in just like basically unchecked. So I love the Blastoise, the Rillaboom, the Heatran. It's probably one of the stronger Firewater Grass cores in the game. Up there with the Rural Jurs, definitely. Just incredibly powerful. So that's one of the pros. Double redirection. I think that this is so key with Blastoise too, because we went through this too, and you guys I think improved on that redirection. We had Volcarona. That might have given us more versatility, but the redirection in general I think is just better. Having the Togetic there, not pigeonholing the Blastoise to be a support Pokemon week to week, I think is very, very, very important because it makes your team a lot scarier in team preview. If you are only seeing a Blastoise as your only redirector, you kind of feel safe going, okay, cool. If they have Shell Smash, most likely Follow Me is not going to be on there. Not a guarantee, but most likely Follow Me isn't going to be on there. So if we see the Shell Smash come out, at least we only have to deal with that. And if we see the Follow Me come out, at least we don't have to worry about a late game Shell Smash sweep for us. You know, most likely has Helping Hand, Fake Out, stuff like that. The fact that you have the Togetic there, you don't know what's coming out at all from this Blastoise. And that's so key because I think that it's going to allow you to change up the set so much and not just have to rely on the incredible support move pool that Blastoise has. So also the fact that Togetic pairs very well with the Heatran. You know, just I think in general is just a really good pickup. Grabbing two redirectors, strong veteran move for a team that is doing the multi-battle for their first season. So big ups on that one. And I do like some of the support that you guys have in the middle picks, top to mid picks. I think it's going to be very interesting because Pokemon like this, they're not the type of Pokemon that Matt and I like to use. That does not mean that they're not good. That does not mean that they don't fit a role on the team. That does not mean that some team isn't going to use these Pokemon and absolutely just, you know, do everything they can and get the absolute most mileage that they can out of these Pokemon. So I look at the Cerebi page, and while I'm not like, oh my god, this is so cool, I see, okay, no, there's legitimate things they can do with these picks. If they choose the right sets, if they build them the right way, you can absolutely get good mileage out of these Pokemon. So I think that's something to hit on as well. It's just, you know, like we said before, there's just, in my opinion, there's like one too many of these Pokemon that are jack of all trades. If it were to be balanced out a little bit more, I would have liked it a lot more, but I do like the picks that you guys made overall in the middle picks.
And moving on to the cons, a lot of this stuff is stuff that we've mentioned already, but just to reiterate quickly, the limited Trick Room mode without really many good Trick Room answers could potentially be a problem. Like I mentioned, the Reuniclus, Togetic, Machoke. Not necessarily the best Trick Room mode, and I think you might have trouble against opposing Trick Room modes with sweepers that are slower than Togetic, moving before that after you. The mid-tier picks, they do offer some good type synergy, I do like the psychic and dark on Obstagoon. I like the electric and ground on psychic and dark on Reuniclus and Obstagoon, electric and ground on the Zygarde Manectric. But they seem a little bit underwhelming, especially Reuniclus without a full Trick Room mode, and then the others are, if you look at the offensive base stats, 90 base attack on Obstagoon, 105 special attack on Manectric, 100 attack on Zygarde. It's a little underwhelming. They're still perfectly usable, but they're not exactly sweepers. And like I mentioned, their support move pools can be a little bit shallow. It might be hard to really make them work consistently as support Pokemon. So good type synergy. Sort of underwhelming on those picks a little bit. And then the last point is that it may just be a little bit difficult to sometimes justify the redirection that you guys have with not very many setup options. It's mostly the most significant one is that Shell Smash Blastoise. I'm curious to see if or how often you'll bring Swords Dance Rillaboom. It's something that we almost never see, I think, in VGC or draft, really. I don't think we saw a single one on the two Rillaboom teams last season.
Don't know why.
Yeah, and then the other main setup option here is going to be a Coil or probably a Dragon Dance coming out from that Zygarde, which could be strong, but again, you need a lot of boosts to really make that thing do the damage that you want it to do. So while your redirection does work really, really well synergy-wise, I wonder if it might be hard to justify sometimes if you can't consistently bring out those setup options, and maybe if your opponents are able to play defensively well enough to the point where a big sweeper like Heatran that doesn't really need the setup might get its Dynamax wasted just due to good synergy and good play on your opponent's part. So not a huge con. I don't think that's going to come up a lot, because I do think you do have decent setup options, just not as many as I would have wanted personally. And then your synergy, I think, and just the power of those top picks are probably going to pull you through a lot of games for sure. So not a super significant con.
All right, well, that wraps up our report card. We're going to get into some questions that we have for you guys real quick. First question that we have is, we kind of talked about it already, but the Rillaboom Heatran, you got two S-tier picks kind of sandwiched in between some of your other picks here. Not something that we typically see. Usually we see with S-tiers, they can go in the later rounds, but I think when you have two high-value S-tiers go in the late rounds like this, I think that it warrants a little bit of a story. So why don't you tell us how you guys were able to steal these two incredibly powerful S tiers away in such the late rounds?
So the short story is they just kind of fell to us. We honestly have no idea how or why they did, but they did. But like I said at the beginning of this, these are mons that me and Ryan are both very comfortable using and have used or are currently using in different leagues. And when we seen that they were still there, we just immediately transferred attention to those and said, this is what we're building off of.
Nice.
Yeah. Also, I appreciate y'all complimenting the heck out of Heatran took a kick Rillaboom. That was me. So thanks for
sure.
that. One thing, too, is that we have enough draft experience to kind of know when things are going to go and when they're not. We were, I'd say the only one we were really surprised to get was actually the Rillaboom. We were expecting to have to go for an A-tier mon for our grass type. So we were real happy to get it. The Heatran, we actually, at that point, we grabbed Togetic was, at that point, we realized that other people might be looking at it. And at that point, I kind of realized that, like you said, not a lot of people want to work with a 4x weak S-tier mon.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt pretty confident that it would survive. And if Heatran left, then we still, at that point, were very likely to get Cinderace, because there was the other Cinderace still on the board. And we actually still could have gotten that, too. We picked Heatran over Cinderace in this case. And we were pretty confident we could get one of the two at that point, and we realized that I kind of realized I could get a budget version of the core I was using in my other league that we do, and that core has proven to be immensely strong and really hard to prep for and deal with. So we grabbed Togetic pretty much immediately, and we also came in wanting double redirection. So we kind of knew too that redirectors would be really high value, so we kind of went and grabbed it immediately.
That definitely makes a lot of sense, and honestly, the top of the draft here, yeah, just you could definitely tell you guys are experienced draft players. Next question is, we talked about it a lot, but why not more defined role players in the middle of the draft? Why in particular did you guys take some of the mons that you guys took?
So this is more of a play style kind of choice. Me and Ryan both have two very different defined play styles, and we've seen that these mons could work decently well in both of those. So we're not really, say, I don't know, we have to run Obstagoon. If we need it to be a supportive Obstagoon, it's going to be on whichever one of us players are the more supportive player. If it needs to be an offensive Obstagoon, it'll go to the other player, and we're both comfortable using each one of those different styles of play. Also, we didn't want something that was just going to sit on the field, kind of like some prankster Pokemon do,
some
just
prankster
because we
mons
have
do.
Togetic. Yeah.
Yeah,
And we don't want two mons just sitting there doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, with the double redirection, we didn't really want Prankster. Also, we would have grabbed Prankster probably if there was more weather-based teams, but there's only one. And once we saw there was only like one weather-based team, we were like, okay, we don't need like Prankster, Rain Dance, or Sunny Day or anything like that. So we weren't super worried about that. And yeah, we knew we needed a Lightning Rod user. We actually really wanted Cantonian Marowak. I'd actually say that was really the only thing we got sniped on the whole draft. Like that was a big time snipe. Because that would have helped the Trick Room mode and given us our Lightning Rod user, and we really wanted that mon.
Yeah.
But it got sniped, so we kind of repivoted a little bit and went for the Manectric Zygarde instead. And that's kind of why. We also we tend to want very specific support moves. I'm a big advocate for Safeguard and Haze. Having that on a team is really important to me.
Yeah.
And we're actually trading out a few of these mons. We already have talked about our transactions for when we're allowed to do them. And we've kind of looked at the team and started prepping for a couple weeks, and have already figured out what we want to grab. So,
well, that's good. That might lead into my next question then. We noticed that the Trick Room mode was a little bit lacking, that you are going to be relying a little bit on the Reuniclus. Do you guys have plans for the Reuniclus to get some help, or is there...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
There
for
are
sure.
plans.
And like Ryan said, our plan was initially to build on that Trick Room mode, but then the Marowak got sniped, and we kind of had to pivot kind of the Trick Room mode and pivot into more of, hey, what mons can do multiple things, multiple different ways, and we kind of landed on those specific mons. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how it happened. But we definitely do have some transactions already kind of lined out. See, we're gonna have to see how that all plans out, but we definitely have ways to answer some of these cons for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff there. Also, like, frankly, Reuniclus is a big threat on its own. Like, it is scary to click Trick Room in front of a team with a Reuniclus, I think, just in general, because it's a pretty big threat to most other Trick Room sweepers. So, like, I do consider it a problem, and we are addressing it, but I honestly don't think it's going to come up in the first couple weeks prior to the transaction a whole lot, from what I've seen, anyway.
Well, it's real easy to bolster Trick Room when you already have such a solid piece like Reuniclus. You don't need to like find that diamond in the rough. It's like, oh, this kind of just pairs well with it. This will be perfect. I kind of want to bring attention to, since we just finished up with the questions here. This is something that I think not enough teams do, and that is looking at your team and seeing where you can improve. I give you guys major props for already before the week starting, evaluating your team and seeing just on paper where you guys can make little improvements. You guys are very good. It's very experienced draft players, very good from the looks of things. And if you guys can make a couple of changes that kind of takes this team like a couple percentage points better, that can really take you over the top. People don't understand that a lot of the times, that like swapping out one or two Pokemon can really make such a huge difference for everything. So kudos to you guys. Honestly, I wish more teams would do that and go and not be so satisfied with like, oh, we already have a good team. It's like, okay, now make it great. You know?
Right.
So,
We actually in the league that we run, the MDL, we do weekly transactions. You can do one mon out every week. And including Matt, actually, all three of us make transactions almost every week.
yeah,
I mean,
And
we
yeah, and we're
constantly,
the top. We're some of the top 3 teams.
yeah,
so-
we're currently all at the top of the leaderboard for a reason, and the top player has made a transaction every week. It's the top 4 just keep improving their teams, making those transactions.
Yep.
And we gave advice to a lot of the lower tier teams to start trading more and transactioning more, because we had very frequent transactions, and a lot of those teams haven't really picked up on that advice yet, but it's actually correlating to performance this season quite a bit. So we're very aware. And we did not finish this draft and go, oh yeah, this is set in stone. Like,
Yeah.
we were like, oh, we have some transactions we want to make, or maybe some people will trade some things that we can come available that we want. So
I think that's probably the one area in this particular league that teams don't do and that they don't do enough of is they become very content on the Pokemon that they have. Last
Right.
season we saw a team that was in the B range, at the very beginning of the year, and they pretty much hit a transaction every transaction cycle. And by the end of it, Matt and I were like, "Oh yeah, this is like an A team," very easily. They just continually made it better. So, I think that's really good. A really good thing. If anybody is watching this and they're wondering how to make their draft better, that this is how you look at it. You go, yeah, we already have transactions in mind before we even play a game. And then once we play a game, then we'll reevaluate. That's how you have to be. So, kudos to you guys. I just wanted to touch on that because I think that's a really important part of draft, just in general.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so real quick, we're gonna jump into this next question. Was you guys got a lot of? Oh wait. Sorry, we got all the questions already.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, we went on a little tangent there.
Yeah, we did.
yeah,
Now we got the 3 questions for everybody. The first one is Pokemon that you drafted that you're excited to use.
Heatran.
Heatran.
All right.
Heatran.
All right. Yeah, I think
Eruption Heatran, man, I've really wanted that all season for the league we're currently doing. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a really cool thing.
And what's cool about Eruption Heatran now is that you can actually change its goddamn nature. You don't have to run
Yeah.
quiet anymore.
Oh,
Yeah, we can run modest, baby. Oh, it's gonna be fun.
That is very cool. Yeah, Heatran's definitely going to be a cool pick. Or a cool Pokemon to see. What's an underrated Pokemon that you guys have on the team? League might not be given enough credit.
Originally, I was going to
we-
say Manectric, but it's definitely Machoke.
It's Machoke. We're not dropping that thing week 1 transactions at all. Don't even think that. We actually are pretty excited about it.
We've already
we
ran.
think it's a bit of a hidden gem on the team, actually.
We've already ran some numbers, and that thing hits incredibly good numbers.
Yeah,
surprisingly, like we were surprised by it as well.
Yeah, we're pretty excited for it. Also, Manectric as well. I'm
Mhm.
pretty excited for. I think that thing is gonna do us well. But I'd say the big answer is Machoke. I think y'all are sleeping on it a little bit.
Cool, that's what I like to hear.
That's one of those prove me wrong kind of mons. I want to see that thing hit
I'm
the
cool
field.
with that.
I want
I'll
to see it do
do
work.
that.
Prove us wrong.
And with that, expectations on the season, besides Machoke being the kill leader.
Yeah.
Just making playoffs, honestly. Like me and Ryan are very seasoned in VGC draft leagues, both doubles and singles. This is kind of the newest chapter in our draft league book, and I just want to make playoffs. Prove to myself that I can overcome this as well, I guess.
Yeah, I really want to make playoffs. I think we have a team that can do it. And I think that even though we're already looking at our schedule and going, oh God, no. But even despite that, we're hoping that we can make playoffs with this team. I'm feeling pretty confident in our odds.
Yeah, I like this team a lot, honestly. You guys got a good core, a good set, and I can't wait to see what you guys can do. So
Yeah, you're gonna do well with it, especially after a couple of transactions, like you guys said you're already planning on. So you're definitely gonna have some success with this team, for sure.
that finishes it off from our end. Do you guys have any final thoughts? Any last things you want to say?
no, without any further ado, I'll see you in the next one. I'm joking.
Yeah,
All right, Matt, get us out of here. We can't end it on their outro.
Can we end it on our outro on our terms? God, no. Thanks for having the interview. I know that we did a draft analysis kind of independent of this,
Which
but
we always
I
welcome.
am really glad that we got to get some other thoughts, some
Yeah,
other critiques,
sure.
things like that. That's really always super valuable. So we really do appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, no problem. We appreciate you taking the time to join us as well. So.
And for rescheduling. I was so busy on Sunday last week. I appreciate it so much for you guys rescheduling. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's no problem.
It's fine.
All right, so that should do it for us. Good luck this season, guys. We'll see you on the battlefield.
Peace.